People may not realize it, but when you grow up without an awareness of the other peoples and cultures with whom we share the land, then you grow up with biases, with prejudices.
By focusing on these issues, by shining a light on these issues, we really have the opportunity to make a difference.
I'm shocked to see how little people know about human rights in this country, and it seems like something that's coming from above, you know, like something external to them, while when we talk about human rights, we talk about the rights of every one of us.
Fernanda Discosta, Craig Benjamin, and Jackie Hansen are 3 pieces of a big puzzle. Traveling to Fort St. John on behalf of Amnesty International, they are here to study the impacts of large-scale resource development and see if this affects our Indigenous community.
You look at the scale of the violence, when you start looking at the demographics and you look at the rate of violent crime, you look at the population size, you look at the economy, you say something's going on here.
Silhouettes representing missing and murdered Aboriginal women lined the highway. A driving force behind Amnesty's visit is known Aboriginal Rights Ambassador Connie Greyeyes and her never-ending quest for justice.
We met Connie a couple years ago in Ottawa at the National Vigil, and Connie came with several other members of the community here and had a banner. And that banner had names of people from Fort St. John and the surrounding areas who had gone missing or who had been murdered. And then we saw her again the next year, and Connie had another name to add.
I met Connie after standing with the public on the steps of Parliament Hill and hearing her speak so passionately, so powerfully about the losses that in her immediate family, the losses among her circle of friends, the losses in the wider community of Fort St. John.
She has this, you know, like spirituality when she talks about issues, and she tells you about the bigger picture in a way that not many activists can see the bigger picture. She's extremely intelligent in that. She can see the patterns behind that.
The patterns are ones they have seen before in rapidly growing areas like Fort St. John. With it comes good things, but also violence.
We already know nationally that Indigenous women and girls are 3 times as likely, more likely than other women in Canada to experience violence, 4 times at least more likely to go missing or be murdered.
History has proved that Indigenous peoples and the history of Indigenous peoples, they were always left behind, they were always discriminated against, they were always, you know, thought as the different ones, the ones that had to be, you know, westernized.
This is an area where decision after decision after decision is being made that has significant impacts on the kind of community that people live in. And we think that this example of some of the most extreme harms that people are experiencing in their daily lives, the loss of that sister or that daughter, this has to be considered. Those voices have to be heard. That you can't come to a just decision if those voices are excluded and ignored.
The team's first visit was this May, and they will return in the future as it takes many one-on-one conversations with families, groups, and officials to get the full scope on what is really going on. And if there are statistics and unknown histories about the Aboriginal community you may not know, Craig says it's not your fault. We need to better educate Canadians about those Indigenous to our country.
And I don't think people should be embarrassed by not knowing these things. It's not their fault. We're failing to educate our children. Our educational system does not devote enough attention to the treaty relationship, to the history. But each of us have the opportunity to overcome that. Each of us have the opportunity to learn more on our own. We have the opportunity to go to events like the Sisters in Spirit marches.
These marches and other processions are held annually in the Peace region, including the upcoming Spirit of the Peace powwow. We will continue to cover this evolving story on Shaw. Reporting for Go Peace Country, I'm Emily Moyes.